everyone, and welcome to Celebrating Cinema, a podcast for the love of cinema. I'm your host, Laura Gomans. Do you have a controversial opinion about film? Send a brief voice note to celebratingcinema@lab111.nl, and you might be featured in one of our upcoming episodes to see if we agree. Today, we have a conversation with composer and DJ Kangding Ray about his work on Oliver Lax's latest film, Sirāt. Sirāt follows Father Luis, who's traveling through southern Morocco with his son, Esteban. They're searching for his daughter, who's been missing for 5 months. She was last seen at a dance festival in the desert. As the pair travel from party to party, they hear of a semi-mythical rave near the border of Mauritania. Luis and Esteban are forced to cross a primal landscape in which they have to walk a tightrope between heaven and hell. Here's a clip.
Es mi hija. Hace 5 meses que no sabemos nada de ella.
Hay otra fiesta en el desierto. A lo mejor estará por ahí.
¿Vosotros vais a ir?
It is in this mythical rave that Sirat's music takes center stage. Our co-host Hugo Emmerzael catches up with the prolific French techno DJ Kangding Ray to discuss the process behind making the heavily featured score and how he's gone from club DJ to composer.
David, welcome in the Celebrating Cinema podcast. I first wanted to say, also for the full disclosure, we met before in Armenia and we drank a lot of nice Armenian wine, and the weather was much warmer than it's here in Rotterdam. But in the meantime, since that summer, a lot of things has happened. You've gone into an insane awards season cycle with the score of Sirāt, while also, of course, working as a DJ and a performer, spending time in nightclubs like Berghain and in Amsterdam and so forth. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It is the, as you said, like for me, slowing down now with the award season, and I'm quite happy about that. It's been quite a journey, and as you said, like since we met last time in Yerevan, a few things happened, and incredible things mostly. So
can you tell me maybe one tiny aspect of this entire award season, like chaos, this circus that really struck with you, or like a bizarre anecdote that you will take with you after this experience?
There have been like so many crazy moments, but I think one of the really highlights were obviously like sitting in room at the Golden Globes as a nominee with all these actors and amazing composers and so on, and like it felt very surreal to be just even going there and doing the red carpet and the whole press campaign as a nominee, because like these are people that I really look up to, and being like considered in among these people was really incredible, and kind of a very unlikely dream.
And this is something that I wanted to talk about, because with Sirāt, which is your second score, but the first one that you could call really your breakthrough score as a film composer, right? Suddenly, this world of cinema comes into your life after you've already established yourself so strongly as an electronic music musician and DJ. And I'm just wondering about your relationship with cinema in general, because in our podcast, we ask all of our guests what some of their early favorite formative memories with film were, how you got into this, let's say, love for film as well. Do you have one that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm French, so I think like cinema is kind of like very embedded in the culture, as it is considered as a high form of art, and has always been kind of. So it's really part of the fabric of what the cultural discourse where I come from. So it's. I think really early on, even in school, like our teachers were like showing us films that were really like avant-garde and like very like sometimes totally not for our age, but like they pushed the boundaries of what was what could be cinema, which is great because they were like opening a door to what cinema can be, and not only the typical American super production. So later in the 90s and so on, and when I was growing as a teenager, we had film like La Haine.
Very formative film for many French people.
And I think it was something that was really like, it's one of my early really shock as when I was a teenager, to see what cinema can be, how strongly it can like talk about like political and social subject, but also the aesthetic of it, like the black and white, the very like radical aesthetic, the storytelling. I think that's one of the early memories that really shaped me.
It's an excellent choice. That's an incredible film still. And I think many of the things you just described, right, about this French cinema that is pushing the envelope, also, you know, really addressing key themes of social and political issues through very highly aesthetized, you know, audiovisual language. All of these things, of course, apply to Sirāt as well, which is honestly my favorite film of last year, a film that just stays with you so much, a film that dares to go so deep, of course, into this desert and ask so many huge questions about what it means to be human right now. It's an insanely ambitious film if you just think about, of course, how Olivier Lachey made it. But I can assume that also as a musician, it's quite daunting how to complement all of these crazy visuals that are in the film. So if you could take us back a little bit to this beginning and when Olivier Lachey asked you to do the score of Sirāt, are you thinking like, yes, let's fucking go? Or is it also maybe very scary and insane that you suddenly jump on this train as well?
It was both. It was very intimidating first. When I received the script, I realized how radical and ambitious the project was, and so it was very sort of like a reaction of like, oh, can I really do this? But also at the same time, I cannot say no.
How
to
can you
some,
say
how
no?
can I
Come
say
on.
no to such a proposal? So I had to jump in the abyss with Oliver and just do my best and be confident that I could deliver. And as you said, it's only my second score, so it was a bit of a challenge. At the same time, I felt very ready, and maybe in a way that I wouldn't have been 10 years prior, because of his experience of playing regularly as a recording artist and as a performing musician all over the world in festivals and clubs. I gained this sort of like confidence of knowing how to create music that touches people, or like at least trying in, or being ready to experiment the emotional response to sound. And I felt that it was a perfect environment to do that. Like, this film allowed me so much space. I didn't know how much space, but I knew it was quite important. And then as I was composing, Oliver just gave me more and more space because it was just really working. And we ended up having 62 minutes of music uninterrupted by dialogue, which is unheard of, and I'm so grateful to have been given so much space in this film. It's a real privilege.
And, you know, the result feels like such a logical continuation of your career as well as a recording artist, because through the moniker Kangding Ray, I think that this envelope in pushing, you know, aspect of the music has always really shone through in the way that you take electronic club music and techno, but make it more conceptual, more dense, more strange, you know, also in many ways. Ultimately, it's what you do as a musician, for me, feels very evocative, conjuring up these huge worlds. And I just wanted to ask where this also impetus for you came from to immerse yourself in this world of music and to push the boundaries of what you can do with club music. Because there was, I think, a moment when you and the Alpha Nota label were making all of this crazy club music that it felt like something really new and fresh was emerging in the international club scene. And I think you are at the forefront of that as well.
Yeah, I think it's an appetite. It comes from an appetite of like pushing the boundaries and being like never satisfied with the status quo. And I guess it's not for everyone, but has always been my attitude towards art. I'm just not. I wouldn't be satisfied just by redoing things that have been done, and so I try to push as much as possible what is acceptable in each context. So when I was operating in the experimental and scene, I was trying to integrate more and more club. And then on the other side, like if I'm operating in a club context, I'm trying to see what's acceptable, like push the boundary of like sound design and experimentation in a club context, while keeping a strong energy and a strong like focus on functionality, because in those contexts you're there to make people dance and immerse them, let them immerse in sound. I really like these two aspects, like working with the constraint of functionality, but like seeing how I can make them work with also an artistic approach.
I guess that's where your architecture roots shine through,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, very much, yeah, because that's what architecture is about. Yeah, right, like just pushing the boundaries, but in a functional system. Yeah.
With Sirāt, so the film of course starts with this massive rave, and then everything in the film dissolves into a much more existential, intimate, epic journey still. I'm because Lachey is a very, I would say, focused and dedicated visionary director. I'm just kind of wondering, when you were approaching the score, did you have a kind of overarching philosophy of how you can approach it, also given all the freedom you had? For instance, do you find restrictions in the type of material that you use, the sounds that you're trying to look for when you're working on this score? Or is it an across-the-board, complete, huge, almost randomized form of freedom that you had?
I mean, I like to think that it's like it was complete freedom, but in reality, I think I had already set boundaries in my head in terms of style, but also in terms of textures. I think because of the context, the culture we portray, the free party movement that we show, because of the texture of the landscape that we are operating in, or that the characters go through. The desert has a special texture, a special density, and I think the sound needed to fit to that, to those textures, the rocks, the sand, the scorching sun, the unforgiving nature of the landscape. So, because there is also a slow shift between diegetic and non-extra diegetic music, I wanted the score to feel homogeneous. So, like, I was operating in these constraints of seeing things as a continuum, and the whole score is a continuum, as you say, like going from the rave, disintegrating into more ethereal and experimental and spiritual ambient music. But it comes from the same source. It comes from the source is the grit of the rave, the energy, the euphoria, but also the darkness of the anger of this culture, which is a very rebellious energy, very like it's a choice of lifestyle which is without compromise, which like it's the most extreme and pure way to live this type of music or this type of culture.
I'm always very curious when I'm talking with composers how the communication basically is with the director when they're trying to find the right music for the film, right? And I'm wondering, in the case with Lachey, when you're composing Sirāt, is it a very functional conversation? Is it more like a hangout? Can you like listen very deeply to the tracks with him and vibe on them, or is he really just trying to extract certain things out of you? Like, what's the dynamic between you and a director when you work on a film like this?
When we started working together, where I didn't compose first, we sort of more started to look for a common vocabulary to be able to work later on, because we had so much time. We had like about 2 years work like with only the script as a base. So he came to Berlin, to my flat. He was staying at my place, and we just listened to music all day. And
sounds like a dream.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. We just listened to music. I have like mostly from my vinyl collection, and then through this we gain like a sort of understanding of each other's taste, of each other's goal, and it was also my role to guide him into something which is very true to the scene, you know, because that's where I am. I mean, I don't come from the free party movement, but I know what it is, and I'm by being a DJ really integrated in the techno world, like I gained this sort of understanding of the different niche and the different scene, and it was very important for me to be very just and like very to give them justice. Like
I wanted to say this because so often, and this frustrates me a lot as well as a passionate lover of electronic music, how often raves are shot and portrayed so shit in films, right?
Yeah, it's a pastiche, and it becomes like a stereotype or like a very cringe sort of parody of it, and that was really a big fear. Like I was actually. I know, because I know that this happens so much, and this would have been a nightmare. So I tried. I implemented really strong measures to avoid it happening.
Just out of curiosity, do you have a favorite film about the club and the rave scene that is not Sirāt?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Can you imagine? Isn't it crazy?
This is insane. Like I don't remember a scene like a proper race scene where I was like, this is it.
I think the opening of Blade is nice, but it's also
I haven't seen it, so maybe I should.
Super
it's
iconic.
Good. Yeah.
The blood rave, the blood is coming out of the ceiling, but the music is great. The rave is shot well.
Good.
And then maybe a bit of Gaspar Noé, and that's maybe it.
Oh yeah, maybe Gaspar Noé. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, isn't that insane? That if
it's quite rare, and usually it's not really. Yeah, it's not really working.
But I think that's also kind of a full circle moment in this conversation, because then suddenly you find yourself in these insane circles sitting at the table at the Golden Globes, right? While being a bona fide experimental club musician. I think it's super impressive how this film has shown what the artistic merit through the international film community is as well of such music. And I'm wondering if then a lot of people immediately want to talk with you about scoring their films as well, because they see that this is very interesting and unique, or do you feel like the odd one out when you're sitting at the Golden Globes? Like how well do you think people get it, what you have done here?
I mean, especially in the States, there is this attitude of being very interested by novelty and things that are fresh and new and cool. So I definitely felt that, and I had amazing connections with people who are really interested in what I do. What I do is very specific for them, so I don't think I'm going to be, the new like official composer for everything like this. And I have no intention of, becoming Hans Zimmer. So I think directors will contact me, and they have been doing it already. Like I have amazing connections now with many people I look up to. So it's quite it's great to have this straight away through the success of Sirat. But they will contact me or propose me projects that are, if they really want that type of sound. Like not that I can do only this, but no. I intend to be quite specific in what I'm working on, and I'm not in a hurry to jump on the next project anyway. So I'm gonna wait for the right one.
For the right fish.
Yeah.
To bite on the hook.
Yeah.
I have maybe one more last question, because you talked about how long you actually worked on this project, right? About 2 years, and it's a very multifaceted journey in which you were given a lot of freedom. Can you maybe share a moment or an anecdote in which you felt where everything was really coming together, where you felt like you were locked in, it's snapping together, it's all making sense, a moment where you can really feel that this forward momentum is also hidden for you as the composer?
There was this moment towards the end of the work with Oliver where we were struggling to find the right texture or the right cue for the ending scene, because normally in such a scene you're like pushed to do like something more like suspenseful and like increase the tension. But then I proposed to go the other way around and like do something like soothing and more hopeful, and it is at the end like I think one of the boldest choices I've ever done as a composer, and I'm really proud of that. Like, and at the end it's like this sort of beautiful arpeggio, like building up to this massive wall of sound, and one of the most striking cue, it's called Les Marches. I think it fits for this ending really well, and when we tried it, after struggling so much it just instantly clicked. So that's when, you know, like sometimes
the best feeling in the world,
the best
right?
feeling, yeah, like when there's nothing quite like it, when images and sound come together.
It's insane.
And you're like, okay, this is it. This is a very, very strong connection.
David, to wrap it up, Sirāt is coming soon to the cinemas. The score is also available on vinyl, even on cassette, I saw, and of course on your favorite streaming platforms. For the people that are going to step into this insane journey, do you want to send them a message or tell them what they can expect, or just share with them a bit before they step into this crazy, crazy ride, which is Sirāt?
You in the film?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I would tell them is to try to approach this film as a journey, as an immersive experience rather than a standard narrative film. And the answers is more to look inside themselves rather than waiting for the film to give them all the keys and all the answers to their question, because the Sirāt is asking more question to you than it delivers you answers. That's the right way to approach, because otherwise, if you just expect a standard narrative where everything will be resolved and where everything will be, you know, good again at the end, and you might be upset. So. Very upset. So go with an open mind, and also try to feel the sound and the images with your body rather than your brain.
And if you like that feeling, then afterwards go to a club, especially
Yes,
when
maybe,
when Kangding Ray is playing, because
yes.
You're in for a good time. David, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
this lovely chat. It was a pleasure.
You. Pleasure too.
Sirāt is now screening at Lab 111. Get your tickets through the link in the show notes or at lab111.nl. Stay connected with us at Celebrating Cinema and Lab by following at Lab111 on Instagram and Letterboxd. Do you love what we do? Support us by leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us climb the ranks of the podcast charts. This was a Lab 111 production, edited and produced by Elliot Bloom, and co-produced by myself, Laura Romans. Music comes from Hugo Emmerzael, and the artwork is by Studio FFF.